Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Thursday, January 19th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. What has to be changed in the relationship between Canada and First Nations has already been established, says Anishinabek Nation Grand Council Chief Patrick Madubby. What needs to happen at a January 24th Crown First Nations gathering in Ottawa is for Prime Minister Stephen Harper's government to take action. There has been much work done, said Madubby. Things like the Kalwana Accord, the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, the Nielsen Task Force report, the Penner report, and many other studies that point to the fact that we do need change. Now we have the answers. The solutions are there, already built into a lot of these processes. What we need is the political will to move on some of these initiatives. The Grand Council Chief was hopeful that the January 24th meeting between First Nations leaders from across Canada and the federal government will be the start of that process. The Grand Council Chief said First Nations want the Ottawa gathering to be more than just a photo op. A rodeo cowboy from the South Dakota town of Rosebud died in a traffic accident in Colorado last weekend. 24-year-old bareback rider Austin Janice was killed January 15th while returning to South Dakota just hours after making his debut as a professional Rodeo Cowboys Association card holder at a rodeo in Texas. The PRCA says the van that Janice and another cowboy were traveling in was struck head-on by a car on U.S. Route 385 near Ray, Colorado. Janice was declared dead at the scene. The other cowboy wasn't seriously hurt. Janice was a member of the Lower Brule Sioux tribe. His funeral was scheduled for the 21st at the Lower Brule Community Center. The citizens of the Yocha, Dehe, Wintun Nation have sworn into office their newly elected chairman, tribal officers, and council members to lead their sovereign nation for the next 3 years. Marshall McKay has been re-elected chairman and will serve his third term in that post. James Kinter, an incumbent at-large member of the tribal council, has been elected tribal secretary, replacing Leland Kinter, who did not seek re-election. Anthony Roberts has been elected to serve his third term as tribal treasurer. Mia Durham will return to serve her second term as an at-large council member, and Matt Lowell Jr. Was selected as an at-large member for his first term on that council. Responding to a study by the U.S. Department of Interior meant to influence EPA's upcoming decision on pollution control upgrades needed for the 35-year-old Navajo Generating Station near Page, Arizona, Navajo groups expressed frustration today at the study's apparent aim to bolster the plant's long-term, poorly controlled operation. Glaringly absent in the study was any serious consideration of the coal-burning plant's impact on public health in the region. Also starkly lacking was any forward-looking analysis of the potential benefits in terms of jobs, tribal revenues, pollution reductions, and water use savings from an orderly transition to cleaner energy options than coal. Everybody who's forward thinking about energy knows that where we need to be headed is in clean energy instead of dirty coal, said Waylon Johns from the Black Mesa Water Coalition. It's very disappointing to see the U.S. government putting out a study that's focused on staying stuck in the past rather than opportunities to move forward. Even a spokesperson for the Central Arizona Project, CAP, which uses NGS power to deliver wastewater across Arizona through canals, told the Associated Press that we recognize the power plants are going to go away. Eventually, CAP will switch over to alternative systems. In the aftermath of the suspension of the Tucson Unified School District's Mexican American Studies Department, TUSD has confiscated and continues to confiscate MAS teaching materials. Besides artwork and posters that included books, the move came in response to a measure, HB 2281, which was specifically created to dismantle the the successful MAS TUSD department. Amid a massive backlash, TUSD officials have backpedaled, claiming that the confiscation of the books that took place after the January 10 MAS suspension does not constitute a banned books list. While they claim that only 7 book titles were ordered, boxed, and carried off, The fact is that the confiscation, in some cases in front of students, involved more than the 7 titles. But the 7 books that were not banned, but merely confiscated are Critical Race Theory by Richard Delgado and Jeannie Stefanik, 500 Years of Chicano History and Pictures by Elizabeth Martinez, Message to Aztlan by Rudolph Corky Gonzalez, Chicano, The History of the Mexican Civil Rights Movement, Occupied America, A History of Chicanos, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and Rethinking Columbus, The Next 500 Years by Bill Bigelow. The Cherokee Nation honored 3 Vietnam veterans, one who served in the Air Force and 2 others in the Army at this month's Tribal Council meeting in Tahlequah. Deputy Principal Chief S. Joe Crittenden presented each of the men with a Cherokee Medal of Patriotism. Taylor Whitmire was born on July 9, 1933 at the Claremore Indian Hospital and raised in Chewy, Oklahoma. Whitmire enlisted in the Air Force in May of 1953. Johnny Shepard was born in Liberal, Kansas on May 8, 1948. In October 1967, Shepard was drafted by the Army. He got his basic training in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for advanced infantry training. Shepard was then assigned to the artillery duty in Duo Thanh, Vietnam from 1968 to 1969. The 3rd veteran to be honored, Robert Estep, was born on Malone, Illinois, December 18, 1948. Estep was drafted by the Army in January of 1969, making him the 3rd generation of his family to serve in the military. He went to Fort Polk for basic training and advanced infantry training. Estep then served as an air cavalry point man in Vietnam from June 1969 to June of 1970. The Cherokee Nation honors Cherokee servicemen and women during regular tribal business meetings in a way to thank them for their sacrifices for their country to defense. Native American filmmaker Chris Ayer has been appointed chairman of the Santa Fe University of Art and Design's film department. He'll take over the New Mexico School's Moving Image Arts department on February 1st. Ayer directed Spoke Signals, which won a Sundance Audience Award and Sundance Filmmakers Trophy. His television and film work has won numerous awards, including a Peabody and an Emmy. His latest film, Hideaway, starring Josh Lucas and James Cromwell, is due for release in May. Ayer got his start under Robert Redford in his Sundance Institute Director's Lab. Redford said Ayer's influence on a new generation of storytellers will be significant. He is a member of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma and currently lives in South Dakota. The Forest County Potawatomi say its casino in Milwaukee is the largest in the nation that lacks a hotel. The tribe is about to change that. The Potawatomi say they'll begin construction this spring on a $97 million hotel next to the casino in Menominee Valley of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, if financing and zoning approval are secured. The 20-story hotel would add another 230 jobs to the Potawatomi workforce, now numbering 2,500. In addition, about 1,000 construction jobs could be generated by the 382-room hotel. Casino General Manager Mike Goodrich says the Potawatomi Bingo Casino draws 6 million annual visits. The Journal Sentinel says the tribe opened a bingo hall at the casino site in 1991 with 100 employees. Watch for the IndianCountryTV.com live coverage starting next week, January 24th, for 2 days from Madison, Wisconsin. That'll probably be on the 25th and the 26th of January for the discussions, gatherings, education, and protest against the repeal of Wisconsin wetlands legislation and the fast-track mining bill permitting legislation slated for committee vote on January 24th, an assembly floor on January 25th or 26th. Also, a mining protest now scheduled for Wednesday, January 25th at 4 p.m. and just before Republican Governor Scott Walker addresses the state citizens at 6 p.m. to report on his latest achievements. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country. On this edition of the Native News Update, we want to say thank you for joining with us, and you come back again soon.